Alright guys, a couple of guys were asking me this week if I would put up videos to do with, well, just to help them with their general play and make it more solid. And just help them to sort of, do mix-ups and really properly get at the opponent in a real sort of solid way. And it's that sort of good timing because I was going to make a video on sort of how to mix players up properly, because I don't think people really understand how to do what a mix-up is or how it really works. And even players that think they're mixing people up and think they're sort of players that mix people up, they're not even doing that. And also, I'm trying to sort of help my friends out with how to use best normals and safe strings. So, the first thing I want to talk about is there's guys that think they can just do this sort of stuff. Now that's never going to work. That's never going to happen. You're never going to jump in straight away and just jump in and start doing this to the guy. Because the opponent, that's just a random bunch of strings that are all safe, respectfully. But you can't just jump in and do that. You have to establish a ground rule with the opponent, and you have to get the opponent to respect your strings, or else you're never going to pull something as off the wall as that. That's never going to happen. So the first thing you do to make something like this possible is you get the opponent to start respecting your strings. And this is how you actually mix a player up. And it doesn't have to be the sort of trash that I see guys, this rubbish stuff I see guys that, see even some of my friends do, and they think this is mixing up people. They think that's a mix-up. That's not a mix-up. None of that is mixing up anybody at all. That's just a random bunch of strings, and if you happen to get somebody with it, that's okay, but don't for a second think or let yourself think that you're mixing somebody up there. Because the bottom line is this: you have nothing to mix up. You've given the opponent nothing to be mixed up with. You're just jumping in and giving a bunch of this, and it doesn't really, it's not relative to anything. So, what I tend to do is pick Cyrax's. I'm just using him as an example, but I'll use this 2-1-2 string. Now, that's safe on block, and the last hit is an overhead mid, so if the opponent's ducking, it's going to hit him on the head for about 10%. Now, if you jump into the opponent and do this once, and he blocks it, that's perfectly fine. The opponent knows, okay, he jumped in, he done that string. Now, you don't want to jump in now and do something completely different. You don't want to ruin all that. You want to jump in and you want to do that string again. And if it doesn't hit him, that's okay, because you're working towards a bigger picture here. So pretty much by the third time, whether or not your opponent's been blocked or hit by this, he's pretty much now by the third or fourth time thinking he's doing this every time. He's throwing out 2-1-2. And that's exactly what you want. Because now the opponent is waiting for 2-1-2. You now have free reign to do 2-1 and now officially mix them up with something like a grab. That is a mix-up, and that is as simple as it gets. None of this rubbish here. Now, he's probably thinking, okay, the next time he jumps in, he's going to do the grab. But you revert back to 2-1-2. Now, he doesn't have a clue what's going to happen. He now knows there's two options. There's 2-1-2, there's 2-1 grab. So you can maybe vary that if you want. That'll be fine enough. That'll really wreck with the opponent's head enough to win a match. But if they start getting wise to the fact that maybe you've done this after 2-1 too many times, you can try something a bit more like, 1-1-1. Because even if he tries to grab you or poke out, the 1-1-1 will catch him. So you've given him a variety of things to be worried about now, and he doesn't know what to do. And that's exactly where you want him. Now, if you're wondering how I was able to lead into something like this, sorry, yet again, it's another version of getting the opponent to respect the string that you're going to do, or else he's just going to jump away. As soon as you do this, he's just going to jump out. He has no respect for your string. You've laid no ground rules down. You've made him afraid of nothing. So what you want to do is maybe, as an example, this is what the down 1 is for. A lot of friends were asking me, what is this for? This sort of weird motion here. So friends, when you do a safe string like this with Cyrax, I like to do a down 1 because it stops the opponent from trying to maybe advance at you, and he'll get the frame rate wrong and you'll chip him with a down 1, and it'll stop him from getting in on you, and that's what it's used for. It's not, you don't jump in and do this, because you've already got the safe jump. That's what a safe jump is. When you jump in, you're guaranteed the string now if you input it, dial it immediately. So when you've hit him, you don't need to do this. You don't need to poke him because you're already guaranteed a string. So you don't use down 1 for that. Use down 1 to interrupt attacks that are coming after yours. Now what's good about down 1 is you can string in after down 1. So maybe after about the 3rd time you've done this to the opponent, you know, just a down 1. He knows down 1's coming, and he knows probably not to be too hasty because you've done this. The next time you can do the cartwheel again. So if you've done that to him a few times, he now has a respect that, well, after that string, no matter how elaborate it is, this is coming, a down 1 into another ragdoll. So if you wanted to get creative, you can then officially now mix him up, because he's now expecting this, but he's not expecting the 1-1-1 after. Now, you can't just jump in and randomly do things like that, and I really want you to think about why you are jumping in and doing something like that. Ask yourself the question, well, does the opponent have any idea what I'm going to do for a start? And you might think that's a plus. You might think, well, because the opponent doesn't know what I'm going to do, that's great, I'm really going to mix him up. But you need to give him something to be mixed up with, and you need to get him to respect your strings, or else you're never going to have the time or the respect to pull something like 1-2-1, ragdoll, down 1, ragdoll, 1-1-1. You want the opponent to be afraid of what's coming next. He knows the down 1 ragdoll's coming, so he's prepared for that. And you can officially mix him up now, and he's stuck. Mix-ups are also as simple as after a block string, for instance. This is a form of mix-up. In fact, a mix-up could be your full screen, you jump forward, the next time you jump back. And you do that again, you jump back. The next time, your opponent's expecting it back, but you jump forward twice. Now, that's a mix-up, and nobody can argue with me about that and say it isn't. That's a mix-up. You've made him think you're back, you're forward, and instead you're forward twice. So maybe I do a blocked 2-1-2 string. That's okay. That's totally fine, because what's coming next now is maybe the opponent will jump, to which you'll get the anti-air. Let's say you catch him with that for the 2nd time in a row, and you jump and you catch him. That's great, because the 3rd time this happens, you can bet your house on it that he's not going to jump, and why would he? Instead, you get a free back too. Now, if you did that at the start of the match, and you just did this randomly, the opponent will just jump somewhere, he'll go back, you know, Reptile will just dash at you or something, he'll get it, because he has no respect for the 2-1-2 back to. And why should he? Because you've given him nothing to respect, you've given him nothing to worry about, so he's just going to randomly attack you willy-nilly because you've laid down no ground rules. So those are very, very simple forms of how to do mix-ups. Yet again, I'm only using Cyrax as an alternative. I'll maybe try with Sub-Zero or Reptile after this video, but I'll do this one quickly in 2 minutes. After combo mix-ups are particularly good. One thing Cyrax has is this. Let's try and put it here. 1-2-1, medium bomb. And then after that, I press him with a back 2. Now, if he gets hit with that once, he's sure the next time he's absolutely going to roll away. He's going to roll away. So if I hit him this time, fire out the long bomb instead. And there you are. He's officially mixed. Doesn't matter whether you get him or not. The fact is you varied your strings based on what you think the opponent's going to do, and you haven't just thrown them out randomly. You've given it some context, and you've given it some thought, and you've given the opponent something to be afraid of. Maybe the last one I would do, maybe now he knows the 1-2-1's coming. He knows 1-2-1 bomb's coming, so instead you might try something like this. So, because he was expecting the 1-2-1, that allowed you the opportunity to do 2-2, which he couldn't just throw out randomly because the opponent doesn't know. The opponent's got nothing to base it off. So, don't just throw out these things randomly. If you've got great strings, which you probably do, you have great ideas, but the problem is your opponent doesn't know you have them. He has no respect for them. You've laid no ground rules, so therefore they're never going to come out. So get in, establish your basic string early, and once you've done that, the opponent will slowly or even quickly begin to have respect for your strings, and that will allow you to develop them further. So that is how you mix somebody up. So if there's any questions or you want me to help you with any other character, then leave a comment and let me know what you think, guys. Hope it helps. See ya.